You know, I already made this video and I'm currently in the middle of putting it all together, and I just kind of reminded myself of a funny story. I used to work for an arcade operator, okay? And he had a warlords that he didn't really care much about. It was converted to something else. The sides were painted black, and I was like, oh, that's a warlords. And I was debating on buying it, but at the time I didn't have the boards, I didn't have anything to do with it. But anyways, it reminds me of a funny story with that same operator I used to work for. Now, before I say anything else, if you have any kids, you don't want to hear a few dirty words, turn this video off. But this is actually a pretty funny story, I think. Okay, the guy I used to work for, he operated a lot of crane machines. And he would have crane machines in gay bars. He would have crane machines in strip joints. He would have crane machines in laundromats. Everywhere he had crane machines. And the crane machines that he had in some of the gay bars, or some regular bars, he had this stuff too. The strip joints and things like that. He would have gay porn DVDs. He would have dildos. He would have things like that, sex toys inside the crane machine. And anyways, my boss picked me up and he says, hey, I need you to fix a Mega Touch at a laundromat. And so instead of getting in the front seat, there was two clop machines. Now, if you're not familiar with a clop machine, it has like a crank on it and you put your quarters in it and it counts how much money that you made. He had two of them sitting in the front seat and he's like, I don't want to move that. Can you just lay in the back? This is a panel van, so there's no back seats, you know. So I'm laying on top of this big pile of stuffed animals and dildos and gay porn, okay? And we get to the laundromat, okay? He opens the door for me, and I like fall out of this truck, and there's all this dildos and whatever, sex toys are falling all over the ground, you know what I mean? And so I'm out there like picking this stuff up and throwing it back in the van, and as people are walking by, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't mine. These aren't mine. This isn't my stuff. You know, because it kind of looked like I'm some weird dude filled with a van of perverted stuff. But I just thought that was hilarious. Anyways, let's go back to the video. What's going on, arcade nerds? I just traded a Tempest for a Warlords. And I want to show you what a Warlords looks like and show you the insides and everything. But first, in this video, I'm going to fix my TV set. I've had this TV for, geez, probably 6 years, and it finally took a crap. And I used this TV to you know, put my YouTube videos together and stuff. So I need it. So I'm going to take it apart and let's see if I can fix it. And then I'm going to show you guys an Atari Warlords. Only 1,000 and I believe 1,014 uprights made. But first, let's try to fix this stupid ass TV. Okay, so what I've done is I just turned the TV around on the TV stand there, and I took off the back. And right off the bat, I noticed there's a lot of dirt all on the inside of this. And I suspect this is from the old house. I used to have one of those pellet stoves, and every time you open the door, all the smoke would come out. So, well, let me take a look at it. Yeah, I suspect the power supply, and the reason why I suspect the power supply, because it doesn't turn on at all. Zero at all. So let me move this a little closer. And generally, the first thing I'm going to do is test this fuse right here where the power comes in. By the way, this is right here is where the power plugs into the machine. So, I get my meter. I just have it set to continuity test. Ooh, the fuse is blown. That's beautiful. Okay, so I could just replace this fuse and just and hope and pray, but that's actually the wrong thing to do. The fuse blew probably for a reason. So let me unscrew the camera. I was actually hoping to find some blown caps or something, but I didn't. I looked around a little bit, and a sign of a blown cap visually can be swollen. The top will be swollen like Jiffy Pop. And all these caps look flat. They have not been tested, but they all look they'll visually look okay. You know, I'm trying to find a spot. I already found a spot where there's a there. Now here is, it looks like an MOV. This is a metal oxide varistor, and it looks like it is exploded. And what this is designed to do is, there's basically two plates, okay, and they're really close to each other. And I'm gonna explain this in an oversimplified manner, okay. Two plates, and when the voltage gets high enough, the two plates short together. So it basically stops a higher than normal voltage from being in the circuit. So maybe this may have happened years ago during a lightning storm, and I didn't know about it, and this may not even be an issue. But just because, Kelly, can you hold the camera?
Yeah.
But just because, I'm going to test this and make sure it's not shorted right now. Hold that camera, and right here's the part I'm looking at. Okay, it's not a short. So, move over here. Now this is a switching power supply, and here are some probably MOSFETs that are being used to switch it. I just had the meter on continuity test. I don't find any shorts. Come over here, Kelly. Okay, that's just a capacitor charging up. It's not really a short. Okay, over here. That could be a short. I don't know what the circuit is. I don't even know if I can find the schematics for this thing online. That could be a short, but it could also be a resistor somewhere in the circuit holding it that way. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. Let's test some diodes. Let's go right around here, Kelly. I'm going to test all these diodes. Okay, my meter's reading 0.5. That's good. 0.5. I'm going for the larger power diodes. Good, good. Those look like they're just... Is that a ferrite bead? Or is that, yeah, it's a ferrite bead. No. Let me see if I can find schematics for this sucker. Okay, I'm going to clip this sucker off. Now, honestly, without schematics, I don't have high hopes that this is going to work. I really don't. Odds are that fuse blew for a reason, and the new fuse is just going to blow again. But we'll see what happens, you know. Oh no, why is he using a desoldering iron to solder? Okay. I'm going to cut these about here. I know it's only like 8 screws, but screw it. We're going to do it the ghetto way. Okay, let me turn this thing around, and or I'll just plug it in, turn it on this way. Good news! I'll tell you what happened. I put the new fuse on, I turn it on, and sparks flew out of this area right here. Remember the MOV I was talking about? I completely forgot. I should have just cut it out. But anyways, crazy sparks shot out of here. And so I unplugged it, and I said, "Oh shit, what am I doing?" So I cut off the MOV. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to let it be. I cut it off entirely. Turn it on. That sucker is working. See if I can get back here. Well, I'll turn around and I'll show you what I'm... Anyways, I'll turn around and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It works. Thank God. Kelly. We can't afford a new TV.
We don't need one now. You fixed
Thank
it.
God. Well, that was some shit luck. Okay, this is my warlords. I just got this. I traded a Tempest for it. I had 2 Tempests, and I still want 2 Tempests. I want a second Tempest because I want Tempest next to a Tempest tubes, and one to just play Tempest tubes. But yeah, so I mean, I had 2 Tempests, and this was a trade for a Tempest. I had to do it. Warlords is one of those games that I've been wanting for a long ass time, and I know a lot of people like the cocktail. But I don't want the cocktail. I hate cocktails for the most part. I like the upright better, and I'll tell you some of the differences between the two. But first off, let me show you. Now, I almost turned this down. The guy said we had a deal. I was supposed to come out that very same day and give him the Tempest. And then he says, let me show you some pictures online. And so I seen some pictures, and I texted back, and he says, I'm sorry, man. He says, it's like a mint Tempest, and I see yours has some issues and whatever. And I turned the guy down. And so I regretted it. I got to thinking, I'm like, what am I doing? There's only 1,000 warlords. And how many Tempests did they make, And Kelly wants it. I mean, you know why Kelly wants it? Because it has horses. She's obsessed with horses. If a game has a horse on it, she thinks it has to be hers. So, Kelly wanted it real bad, and then I thought, what am I doing? Well, why am I not getting this? So I traded it. But I'll tell you some of the issues. Now, when I seen it on the pictures, maybe it'll look funny on this video, but when I seen it in the pictures, it looked really bad. And when I see it in person, I was like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. It's not bad enough where I'm going to strip the side art off, sand it down, use wood hardener, and put all new side art on. But it's not perfect either. Okay, so let me try to show you some of the water damage. You see the water damage? There's a lot of water damage all around the edges of this cabinet. You can kind of see it right there. See that? And there's some peeling with the vinyl. See if I can get a better angle. This is probably the worst of it right here. And then of course there's some flaking of the vinyl on the side. Let me go show you the other side. Yeah, this is my beautiful couch. This couch is only a year old, and this crap is coming off. Don't ever buy fake leather. I'm never buying fake leather again. Anyways, you can see some water damage here. It's not that awful bad. For some reason, when I seen it in the pictures, I'm like, oh yeah, you can see there's some touch up, and once again, some more peeling on the bottom. But you know what? This is a great cabinet, and it's a Warlords. I can finally say I own a Warlords. And you know what? I'm going to tell you some of the differences between the two. The camera knocked out. Anyways, well, I said something about I'm going to tell you the difference. I'm going to tell you the differences between the two types of Warlords. Also, let me right there's the control panel. You can see it has some scuff marks on it, which will probably come out with some magic sponge. And here's the bottom. Not bad, man, not bad. It's going to look great in the row. It's going to look beautiful in the row. Okay, let me explain some of these differences on this machine compared to the Cocktail. Number one, they both use the exact same circuit board, but the harness is not the same, and the type of monitor is not the same. Now, the upright uses there's a 3D scene made of cardboard that's shaped like valleys and like pathways and castles that is inside the upright, and that's why I like the upright, because it has more 3D depth to it. than the cocktail. But the thing that the cocktail has in favor is the cocktail uses a color monitor. Now this is the same exact board, you can swap in between the two, but the cocktail uses a few extra wires on the output to actually run a color monitor, which is badass, but honestly the extra colors you get is really not that significant. You know, the colors, you know what, maybe this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring up an example of a black and white right here, and a color screen right here. That way you can kind of see the differences. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But let me show you the inside. Now the first thing you may notice, the first thing I always notice when I open the back of an Atari cabinet is to still have the original Big Blue. And the original Big Blue, this capacitor right here, should always be replaced. It is part of your AR2 circuit, or your AR circuit depending on what game it is. So first thing I'm going to do is, before I show you anything else, is I'm going to put this puppy in. Okay, so now that we have the new Big Blue put in. By the way, this machine already worked when I got it. I'm just doing some preventative maintenance here. Now, I do not have an AR2 rebuild kit, which basically gives you the 3055, the 7812, and the capacitors and, you know, stuff like that. But it does work, and this is very important. Anyways, this is a little less important, but still important, you know. But anyways, let me first off check out how clean this cabinet looks on the inside. Looks awesome, man. Somebody must have really cleaned this up. Now, one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to look at the. I already looked at the board, but I noticed this board had some scratches on different things like the capacitors. For example, see, this capacitor has some scratches. That tells me this board was probably in a pile of boards, and it's probably not the original board to this machine. I wouldn't think so, at least. Here's something else that's interesting. I see this jumper right here. Now, I just fixed a Warlords for someone else, and theirs did not have this jumper. And I looked at it, and it looks like it's all original. This was just a different revision of this board that they decided to jumper because the board house, you know, they got something wrong when they originally made it, which is interesting because this game came out in 1980, and this says 1981 on it. Whatever Test 5 means, I don't know. It says Revision 1 on it. Interesting. But yeah, so right here you have your program ROMs, of course, and your graphic ROMs, and there's a color proms. Very simple board. This will be an easy to fix board if it ever breaks down on me, hopefully, you know. But also you can see that it has this monitor right here. Without, you know, looking for serial numbers, I believe that's a 23V 23V0003. That's a guess. But yeah, I actually have a rebuild kit for that. But the picture is so great. I'm just gonna kind of be lazy and throw the rebuild kit in the bottom of the cabinet. You know, I'll wait for it to die because I'm lazy. But let me turn this around and let me show you a little bit of gameplay. Okay, so now the machine's off. I turned a bunch of lights off so you can kind of get a better view. But this is what it looks like. Now, I don't know if you can tell in the camera or not, but it gives the illusion of a three-dimensional scene. You can see valleys and like 4 castles, and the graphics are basically the top of the castle, and these are the knights, and here's, you know, like your guy be on the left. Now, let me tell you some differences between the upright and the cocktail 4-player. And the major difference that I believe people, why some people prefer the cocktail, is because 4 people can play at once. Now, it is a cool feature. Now, if I really wanted to, I could make like a couple like mini little spinners to come out of the coin door, so 4 people can still play on the upright. But the upright was really designed for 2 people to play, and then the other 2 are just the computer. Which, by the way, the computer is actually pretty smart for such an old game. The computer is pretty smart on how to defend itself. But I want to talk about this. This is kind of cool. You always see random different things that written in text on these games, and this is something that's kind of interesting to me. This is written on the bezel, okay, and it says the Warlords Creed, okay, and it says, "There be warlords of brawn and might, defending their crowns of gold. Beware the greed of the Black Knight, a power-hungry foe. The dragons spit their fireballs. Warlords, hold up your shields. 'Tis time to protect your castle walls until the Black Knight yields." Anyways, it was kind of cool, like, when I was a kid, reading random things. Now, this is before my time, but, you know, it was kind of interesting when you were a kid and you use your imagination and you're kind of reading some of these goofy things that were written on these arcade machines. I thought it was kind of a cool touch that they put that on there. But, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start this game. Now, only 2 people can play at once, and the other 2 on top is a computer. So, it's going to start me off as this guy right here, which, interestingly enough, very interesting. I'm looking at the camera, and this guy is purple, and this guy is red. But, well, no, this is, yeah, the colors look way different on the viewfinder. I wonder if it'll straighten up when you guys see it on YouTube. I don't know. Okay. Now, have any of you guys played the Atari 2600 version? Right now, it's giving time. It's counting down. It's waiting for other people to join in. There's no one else who's going to join in but me. It's only going to be me. And it always shoots the first spitball fireball at you, and I just captured it by hitting a button. Now, you see how I'm actually destroying my own base? That's because I'm holding the fireball, okay? One trick I've always learned is to, especially at the beginning part of the game, is go right here. Or go right here. Because they never have enough time to reach around. And I got that guy. I'm about to get this guy right there. And like any other game, as time goes by, the further you get, the smarter they get. You know, there's only one guy left for me to fight here, so I'm kind of I'll try to direct some fireballs, but for the most part, I'm just gonna stay alive till he kills himself. Oh, getting close, and he's doing really well. And as time goes by, the computer will actually add more fireballs if you're not dead yet. Jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, man, get out. Alright, we're going to do one more time. And this time we're going to win. But yeah, on the cocktail version, the dragon has more color to him. This is a black and white screen, by the way. The color overlays really make this look pretty good. It's amazing how late in the time. I wonder what, I'm curious now, I wonder what the last color, black and white game Atari made. This has to be one of them. Because the board says 81. I believe this machine has this claim, the claim date was, you know, 1980. And that was pretty much the last of the color, the last of the black and whites around that time. Okay, so now I finally got past that. Rinse, wash, and repeat. Does the same thing. The screens don't change any. The good thing about this game, this isn't my favorite game to play with one person. The fun thing about this game is playing against someone else. Like me and my son were playing this earlier, and you know, we're getting into it, you know. More fun if you're playing against someone else on this game. Still a good game. I love Pong type games. I love Breakout, Arkanoid, things like that. And this is kind of in the same veneer, veneer. But you know what I mean? Oh, I'm not doing too good. Come on. Looks like he might get me again. But, you know, you get the idea. And you can still put your score in. There is no high score save on this. It just saves whatever it is until it's unplugged. But yeah, you get the idea. That's what Warlords is. Isn't it cool? Did you guys play it on Atari 2600? That's how I knew what Warlords was. The Atari 2600 had a port of this. And interestingly enough, you know, as I've collected games over the years, there's so many games that I didn't know that they were an arcade machine. You know, I thought they were just 2600 games. You know what I mean? Well, for example, Kaboom is a port for Atari Avalanche, but I bet you never heard of Atari Avalanche. Let me know in the bottom. Have you ever heard of Atari Avalanche? I have one, a prototype. But yeah, so that's what that is. Let me see what else I could find. Let me show you guys my terrible wreck of my arcade lately. Okay, right now, my lunar lander, I pulled it out because I was working on an extra lunar lander board. By the way, I have a really nice lunar lander, an extra one for sale for $2,500. It's very, very nice condition. Anyway, so I had this taken out, and you know, some lunar lander needs to be put back together. I don't even know what that is sitting there. And here's the back door. My arcade is in a wreck right now. That was, you know, see this piece of carpet? I put carpet on the bottom of my games. And that came off my Tempest. I took my nicest Tempest out. I do have a second Tempest, but, you know, I'm gonna you know, oh, what do you call it? Armor Attack. Just recently, John Salter was here. He's a world record holder for Armor Attack. He signed my Armor Attack. I gotta put that back in. Here's my fire hazard. This is how I start fires at my house. And yeah, so I'm probably gonna put Warlords where Tempest was. You know, my wife, she was talking about, I don't know if I have enough energy to do it. This room here, see, there's two rooms. There's this room, and there's this room, okay? All the Atari vectors in here, but they don't all fit in here. So my wife was telling me maybe she wants to move all the vectors into this room because you can fit 3 more games in this room. And so, I don't know, I might be doing that. This is pushed out right now. It's a total wreck in here. You know, it bothers me. Have you ever made a mess and then it adds up? And it's at the point where it's like, ugh, I don't know. So, yeah, you can't really see everything. I can't even get back there now. But, okay, listen. Can you subscribe to my lovely YouTube channel? I'm asking this. You know, this is important. Because when you subscribe, I kind of know, this is how I judge it. Sometimes I flatline in subscribers. Sometimes I have a lot of subscribers. Sometimes I actually lose a few in here and there. And I can tell when I find a topic that people like, I get a huge surge in subscribers. And when I have a crappy video, I can tell that I have no subscribers. But I know there's a bunch of you, including me for several years, that don't even want to bother to sign into YouTube. So my question for you guys is, get yourself a YouTube account so you can keep track of all the... It doesn't cost anything. Get yourself a YouTube account so you can keep track of all the channels you like. And if you like my channel, subscribe. That way you can find all these videos again. And, you know, videos that are like it. Anyways, have a good day and, you know, subscribe.